basically I had no plan B on Curri. It was, I moved back from overseas and, quickly realized what the potential of this was and just was all in. So I did close down the sunglass company and just, sink or swim, and just went for it.
Welcome to the Sidehustle Lounge. If you're looking for flexible ways to earn income, grow your mindset, and live the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, you're in the right place. So lower the lights, grab your favorite beverage, and join your host, founder of NotaryCoach.com and Amazon best-selling author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent, Bill Soroka.
Cheers and welcome to my next guest for today, Matt Lafferty, co-founder and CEO of Curri. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Bill.
I appreciate you hanging out here in the Sidehustle Lounge. I've been looking forward to our conversation because you took an idea I had 25 years ago and you modernized it. Not that I created it, but you modernized it and you took it to the level that it really needed to go in today's marketplace. So I've been excited to talk about this. You're in the construction and industrial supply delivery industry, right?
Yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm.
How would you tell me a little bit about what Curri does? And for those who are listening, it's spelled Curri. You'll find the details in the VIP room of the Sidehustle Lounge. But Matt, what is Curri?
We allow people to move anything construction, industrial related on any type of vehicle at the click of a button, essentially. And I mean, something small like a box of nails or 40,000 pounds of 21-foot copper pipe, whatever they need to move.
It seemed like this is a long time coming, and it also feels like you solve two problems. You help suppliers, you help crews that are out on the job, but also you help side hustlers like us, people or gig workers like us, build an additional income stream or create an asset out of a liability using their vehicle for that. And one of the, as I was exploring and researching your company, one of the quotes I liked the most was that you deliver construction supplies, not people or food.
Yeah. We call that the perfect passenger, right? You get to listen to your own music, roll down your windows if you want. They're not getting, I don't know, construction supplies aren't getting drunk in the back of your seat or, you have to worry about that type of
throwing up everywhere, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, all right, what's the perfect passenger? It's definitely construction supplies. But a huge motivation of it was also just the fact that we're able to provide like better pay and wages for a driver moving construction supplies because the demand's so much higher and the movement of supplies is more I don't know, it's more I don't want to say like more needed, but it's more just like basic economics. If you have a construction crew on a job site and they're all making prevailing wage like $90 an hour or so, and then they need supplies, then we fulfill that like critical bottleneck that the whole industry feels. And so we're able to pay our drivers much better.
It seems like there's more of an urgency in some of those cases too, right? Like you've got to get that supply right away. Otherwise, other things get jammed up down the road.
Absolutely. It's all about where the product is and how fast they can get it. Whereas, before Curri, they'd have to rely on, just delays or going to get it themselves. And that's also not efficient use of their time. And it's a huge inefficiency in the whole entire industry.
So your timing feels about right. Who is your ideal customer? Who hires you?
Yeah. So, well, let me give the backstory too. We first started and launched towards general contractors, and they loved it. They wanted and they used it. But there's this thing in the industry where they actually expect delivery to be provided by their distributors and suppliers. So those selling them the construction supplies.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that dynamic, we started to really focus all of our attention in on the construction wholesalers and distributors. And that allowed them, we realized that created a very nice effect for them. If they're able to provide delivery in a timely manner, they increase their sales. They can also deploy their capital towards, because distributors, they're just sales organizations, right? They just need to sell more. So
it's a wholesale company, right?
Exactly. If they can sell more and make their customer happy, their customer being the contractor, Curri comes in and says, we have an elastic asset light fleet, and touch of a button, they can send whatever they want in an efficient way. Like if it's a small item, they can send in a smaller vehicle. They don't have to send it in like their giant box truck every time or whatever they might have or outfitted them with. They just know they can deliver whatever they need when they want to. And so there's no mental gymnastics they need to go through. Like, is a truck available? Am I going to be able to sell this? Or when can I deliver this? It's just like, yeah, I can deliver it. And then we move it. And then so they make more sales because their customers are just stoked.
Yeah. So is there any other part of the transaction that's being like the supply chain that's being solved by the service that you're providing? I mean, aside from the fact that maybe a general contractor doesn't have to send a $90 an hour employee to pick up a $26 piece of equipment, what's the bigger picture here?
Well, I mean, we're essentially augmenting and replacing and like fleets that distributors and wholesalers have previously had to rely on. And that's the big thing there. They're realizing there's all these cogs that they've had to deal with that don't perfectly match demand all the time. And so having an elastic fleet through Curri allows them to perfectly match their demand with supply when they use us. So that's a huge benefit to them and the entire industry.
So as far as the industries go that you serve, how big are these industries? Are they only busy during high volume housing markets like we're in now, or can we count on scalable business throughout the years?
It can be scalable business throughout the years. So how big is the industry? It's so construction and industrial sales revenue in 1 year, just in the U.S. alone, is $2.3 trillion.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, so that's just U.S. And so we've done a lot of research on what is the amount that goes into the movement of those supplies and materials that are sold in a given year, and it's roughly 5%. So the overall TAM in the United States is about 115 billion. And as far as seasonality goes, yeah, so Curri is serving multiple different verticals within the construction industrial industries. So I'll just give you some examples: plumbing, HVAC, electrical, lumber, waterworks. I mean, there's, you name it. I mean, we're even moving, industrial supplies and, metals and things of that nature. So there's really nothing we're not moving.
How did you see this opportunity? How did this come about?
You want the long story, the medium story, or the really, really short story?
Give us the short one. We'll get into the good stuff after that.
Okay.
I'm always curious how these origin stories come about.
Yeah. So the super short one, we were looking at movement of things, and we saw food as just like a herd mentality with low margins, as more of like a B2C opportunity. And we didn't understand why. So me and my co-founder, Brian Gonzalez, we didn't understand why people were, why that was a thing. But we understand why it's a thing, high frequency and all that. But we started looking at, there's a ton of other things that need moving. And my co-founder had just purchased a house, and, it's a bit of a fixer-upper. And there was a plumber there, and we just started chatting with him for a bit, and it was a long-term project. And he was going to the supply store every day, probably for over an hour. And, we did the math, and like, wow, this this dude is losing like a month of the year just in productivity. So we started looking. That's what sparked our interest. Then we ended up just chatting with him, and he's like, build this. And so we just start, like, very much the YC, Y Combinator approach, like build what people want, build what people need. And so we didn't build anything until, the customer had identified it and said that they would use it. So rather than like, hey, we have this great idea, let's just, launch it, build it, they will come type of thinking. Everything we iterated on feedback from customers we were working with directly. We still do that. That's like a major core component of what we do. Everything we've built has been from customer feedback, not just an idea that we have. So I think that's something that like a lot of entrepreneurs need to focus in on more, because entrepreneurs can be like creative and have great ideas. Sometimes they're ahead of the market in some ways and it doesn't get adopted. But sometimes you just need to listen to the customer and be flexible enough to not completely pivot, but adjust. And sometimes you do have to completely pivot. And so that was just our whole mindset through this whole thing. And it's, and now we're solving one of the biggest inefficiencies in the US or the world.
Okay. Was this your first business?
No, not my first business, but I mean, I don't know. I graduated college and then went to, into the music industry. My band got signed. So I did that for a while. And then, moved overseas with my wife for about 7 years, living in Laos. Not a business though, just running with a nonprofit. I did like a bit of a side hustle with, I launched some, sunglasses I had designed, but, I didn't want any like distractions from what I was focusing on here, just because the opportunity was so big. So yeah.
When you're talking about solving global problems, that is at a whole other level. And I wanted to, I think we did a really good job here of just painting the vision or the opportunity here. So do you have a footprint with Curri in all 50 states? Like, do you have drivers in all 50 states, or are you scaling your growth from your launch in 2018?
So, okay. We launched January 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, I always drive home that point. Like, hey, we're not even 3 years old yet.
Nice.
But yeah, we're in, the lower 48. So, excluding Hawaii and Alaska.
Okay.
But we're in all the states.
I shared with you that I had an idea like this in the early 2000s because I was working with my uncle. He was an electrical contractor, and he hired me because he wanted me to follow in his footsteps and be this project engineer. And I clearly wasn't for me. Like, number one, working in an office, being in construction, it just wasn't the right fit. So I used to daydream in my office, and I would look out the window and I would see these like beater cars pull up and people in sweatpants jumping out, grabbing blueprints, dropping off boxes. And it was the courier service that we used. There was like no standards at all for them. They were just, I don't know what their model was, but I said, I bet we could do better. I bet I could have a truck that represented my customers better. I bet I could wear a polo shirt and jeans and represent these companies a little bit better. So I started a construction courier service doing that. And I was able to build it up to about 5 trucks. But we ended up selling it to one of our competitors way back then. But I wish I would have had the foresight to even consider doing an app, because that's essentially what you've got now, right? You've got an app that helps the logistics in tying the drivers and the opportunities together, right?
Yeah, and for the driver and the customer, but we also have obviously like a web app and software for the for our customers, the distributors and suppliers to use as well.
Yeah, so that's an easy way for them to get in and just book what they need, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about the opportunity. What's this look like? I noticed, and tell me if I'm looked at the right article or not, but you've got really 2 opportunities or for drivers, right? The hot shots and the route drivers.
Yeah, so we have, I mean, Yeah. So our customer will self-select what kind of vehicle is needed. Also, we get insights into the materials being moved and distributed. So obviously, there's like recommendations for vehicles to match. And then there's different services that we provide. We provide, hot shots, which is just like, an A to B delivery. And so that's one iteration of it. And then there's multi-stop deliveries where there might be one or two pickups from different locations or from a single location. And then there'll be multiple drop-offs. And then there's routes. So routes are, they're more scheduled. They're on whatever cadence our customer chooses. It could be 5 days a week. It could be 3 days a week. And those are typically done with, we have some with pickup trucks of that nature, pickup trucks and a trailer, or box trucks or flatbeds. And yeah, and that's another iteration of the services we provide. And so that's what our drivers would be implementing.
Right. So what's the like a day in the life look like for a Curri driver?
Well, I would actually know because me and my co-founder were the first drivers. So I would drive around my Focus.
Your Ford Focus?
Yeah, you know about this? Yeah, I have oh yeah, that's right. I told you when I was stuck in traffic in LA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I enjoyed it. Like I think, when we were first picking up, like I was saying, we were, I was picking up and our customer was the contractor, right? So I remember early days just like sending commands on my phone, so it would look all automated on the UI for the customer, like arrive at pickup, and it was literally me and my co-founder either like texting through our system, and then it would like send a Twilio message directly to them. So it felt automated. It felt it was like it was working, right? They were getting a notification, but a little bit of Wizard of Oz with me like texting and whatnot. But it was still fun. You got to see like the impressions of the customer. Like, man, like they are stoked right now. They couldn't believe that they could get their supplies that fast. So I say that because like there's like it's a good feeling. It feels good. Like you're making someone's day. They're able to finish their job on time, and also not only that, but like it's sort of cool. Like the fact that you're bringing parts and supplies that are going to become permanent or semi-permanent fixtures in buildings and infrastructure. So that's really cool. Like I love that part. The fact like, wow, because you deliver food and then then what happens to food? They love meat.
You don't want to see the results of that.
Right. But you're delivering construction supplies, and it's just rad to be part of that process. And one of the biggest industries in the U.S., right, or in the world. Construction.
Yeah.
It's just it's hiding in plain sight. It's the biggest thing out there. And so we're like a great aggregator, being able to bring all these people to make the whole thing more efficient. And then not only that, but you get to enjoy the benefits of it, right? If you're moving some materials for like whatever, maybe even pavers or whatever's going on, like it's cool. Or even just individual homeowners. Yeah, cool. That made their day. So
yeah, I can see that you almost got to be a hero to the job site or whatever it is, and then I still do it even when I do loan signings. I'm like, I did a signing at that house, or I met at that hotel and I did a loan signing. But you can do that in this job too, and say, oh yeah, I delivered this to that bridge project or that high rise or whatever it is.
Exactly, fun. We've delivered stuff to Tesla. We've just delivered things. Believe it or not, we've actually delivered stuff to Amazon. So that's funny. Yeah. So, cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. Sounds like a fun gig. So as far as the like day-to-day work goes, because I know there's probably people listening and are like, all right, I've got a car, or I've got a truck or a van that I might be able to use for this. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But what's the actual work look like? Do the drivers count on having to lift this heavy equipment into their vehicle? What's the loading and unloading look like? What does that part look like?
Well, here's the beauty of it. Driver shows up at the distributor, and the distributor loads up the truck. Oh, I mean, unless it's something small, like Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not going to walk it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not, it's a grocery bag full. Like obviously you're going to end up carrying that.
Right.
Um, unless you're some sort of like prima donna and just like, no, carry this to my car now. Um, but no,
Prima donnas need not apply, right?
yeah, well, no, go ahead and apply because you'll still get work. Um, the thing is like the distributor loads it up. If it's going to another distributor, because that's a branch transfer, we call them. So then the distributor is going to be unloading as well. Driver will take a picture of the supplies at pickup. Then driver will take a picture of the supplies at drop off. You know, and a lot of that's done just for insurance purposes, making sure like the goods and supplies that were picked up are not broken, for example, and then dropped off. And it's also and then there's tracking as well that's provided to our customer. So I mean that's typically what it looks like. It's you're driving and taking pictures at pick up and drop off. And we just thought that was a cool flow. I mean, with loading up, like they load up the truck, and then if you're going to a job site, there's a crew typically on site that's like unloading that stuff for you. So
Right.
or they're equipped for it.
Nice. And then you can listen to whatever music you want in between, roll the windows down, and not have to have passengers to worry about.
Listen to
So how did
podcast.
Exactly. There you go. How do the assignments come through? Is it strictly on the app?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know who's eligible for certain types of deliveries? Like a Ford Focus can't carry everything, right? So how does your app?
When you sign up, you will let us know what type of vehicle you have. And so that'll go into our database. And then when our customer self-selects what type of vehicle they need, or we know what type of materials and supplies are being moved, then, just like any other platform, you'll get a notification to accept or decline or ignore, whatever.
Excellent. So to help you meet your client demands right now, who would you consider are your ideal driver prospects?
Everybody who has a car, pickup truck, van. I mean, we literally use everything under the sun. If some these are in high demand, pickup trucks with pipe racks, we'll take those all day. F-150s, F-250s, whatever, with or without a trailer. Some trailers are really helpful. We've been using those a lot. Folks with box trucks, stake bed trucks, everything. So
everything, even Ford Focuses,
even a Ford Focus. We've actually determined what percentage within certain verticals actually will fit in a car and what they can bring. So that's sort of fun too. The fact that there's still a lot of work even for cars of that size. But the reason why we work is because that's why our customers use us, is because we can actually offer everything. They want a one-stop shop, so that's us, and they want our software. So that's
nice.
Yeah.
So what makes a driver stand out on your platform? Like, how could they become a preferred driver that gets more jobs? Is there a way to do that?
Oh, we have a rating system, just like the others. So customers can make comments or ratings just like you can with any type of online review of a service, and so that helps. Also, just frequency, like being on there, being active on the app. That those things help as well.
I noticed that you require a criminal background check.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, just like every other gig platform out there. So yeah, we're very diligent with those.
Excellent. And is there any other guidelines or requirements that a driver would have to meet in order to drive for you? Besides having a driver's license and car insurance and those types of things, but
I mean that pretty much covers it. Like insurance, pass a background check.
Any uniform requirements or anything like that?
No, we don't require uniforms. That's because our drivers are independent contractors. So, I mean, we have recommendations of like you notice, like if I mean, just like Uber, like they'll put out like help articles or like,
Yeah.
or what they call them, like tips for success, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, wear a flannel. We do recommend closed-toed shoes, so that's a thing we recommend just for driver safety.
Excellent. I can see so much opportunity here. This is exciting. Now I want to talk specifically because I know everybody who's listening to this right now wants to know what the opportunity really looks like. Like, I'm sure they're thinking, I've got an F-250. Is it worth putting a pipe rack on? How much money can I make at this? So I know it's really difficult to specifically quote income numbers, but what's a realistic part-time income if somebody was in a city with over 100,000 people and it was growing?
I mean, it could be 17 to 35 an hour. Just depends what type of vehicle you have or what type of, the multiple services that we offer that you're fulfilling.
How urgent are the orders when they come in, and do some of them get scheduled in advance?
They all vary. So some of them are on demand and urgent. Some of them are more of like a same day, like non-rush type of frequency, and others are planned in advance with like a specific route with multiple stops. So, basically everything under the sun. I don't have the exact percentage, ratio for you on each of those, but it can be all those things.
How do you pay your drivers?
Through a system called Stripe Connect. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but just ties in directly with like ACH payments.
Is it like a weekly pay? Is it 3 to 5 weeks out? Daily?
Daily.
How's it work?
It's daily pay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if they did 5 jobs that day, they get paid once for all 5 jobs?
Yeah, in aggregate for that day.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Well, that gets my wheels turning, but I also want to I'm going to tell everybody, if you're interested in learning more about Curri, you can visit sidehustlelounge.com/VIP room, and I'll have links to Curri so you can download the app, poke around a little bit, and check in with their support team and have any of your questions answered from their support help articles. They have a great website that's full of information. But as we wrap up here, Matt, I'd like to, you kind of touched on this earlier with your sunglass company, but I want to know what other side hustles you have going on, or income streams that you might have going on. And if you've opted not to take any of those on right now, I'd like to understand why.
Okay. I mean, it's I have none other than Curri. It takes every bit of effort and focus that I have to throw at this. So, but I used to, where this basically I had no plan B on Curri. It was, I moved back from overseas and quickly realized what the potential of this was, and just was all in. So I did close down the sunglass company, and just sink or swim, and just went for it.
Yeah, burn the ships. You're all in on this one right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To do that, it takes, number one, I would say a clear vision of where you're going, or at least what the next couple of years might look like, or what you want to create, or the impact. But it seems to me that you'd have to have a pretty clear why. Like, why does this business have to work for you? What's important?
My family. I mean, that was one thing. Moving from overseas and coming back to the States with no income for a long time. I was living with my in-laws. Just, I don't know. I mean, it was those are hard times, man. I was like, on Medi-Cal. I mean, it was just it was some, more that burn the ships, like, here we go, like, have to make this work. But it was also really driven just by the massive like I was saying, like, it feels good to solve a massive problem, right? So in the early days, like going to all the construction sites and chatting with contractors, I just developed like a huge respect for their work. they work really, really hard. And I noticed that when they can get their supplies, like they can get back to their families in time. They can provide for their families even better. Um, and if they can be more efficient, it means they're going to be able to provide for their families better, and they can also meet deadlines better, manage their time with their families. And that goes for the driver as well. I mean, the driver's like, I would tell a driver from DoorDash or Uber or any of those, just like, hey, join Curri. You're going to be able to make more. And so I don't know, that was a huge motivator for me, was family, and solving a massive problem.
I really like that, because you're playing a pivotal role in making not only your dream come true, but taking care of your family and helping another driver whose dream might be a little bit different, but wants the flexibility of their schedule to earn some money and spend the time doing the things they love with the people they love. Mm-hmm. And then with the construction workers, you're making somebody else's dream literally come alive. I love when you can see a tangible result of someone's thinking, and you're playing a critical role in that. So that's exciting. Anything else that you'd like to leave? Oh, actually, I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
How do you connect with your customers, or how can someone in our audience connect contractors or suppliers they might know to you? I mean, are you still looking to grow that side of the business?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if I think the easiest thing they can do is just point them to their website. It's like going to be super clear to any distributor supplier, like, oh, hey, I'm their customer, and sign up super easy. I mean, to get started. I mean, we spin up routes and deliveries all the time for distributors and suppliers nationwide. So website will do all the heavy lifting as far as that, even on the driver's side. So if someone wants to drive, Curri.com, and as well as for distributors and suppliers, same website.
Love it. What any last minute advice that you might have for a side hustler with a dream?
Be comfortable with a fair amount of ambiguity, right? And some people thinking you're absolutely nuts or crazy or maybe slightly irresponsible. Thing is, like, I do know some like entrepreneur, like, hey, like that's not going to work because you're not listening to your customer, where they just keep going down a path. Like, if just being able to live in the ambiguity and, people think you're a little bit nuts, for a bit, you have to be comfortable with that. Like, I mean, for so long, people are just saying like, won't Google do that? Won't Uber do that? Won't, and, I had great reasons, and I'd tell them why. Like, no, you just got to keep going in spite of that. So, and have some balance too. Balance.
What's that mean?
What's balance mean? Well,
exactly.
One, there's no such thing, but make time to like do something fun. And it's like, mine's just like, spending time with my family. That's very important to me. And I mean, when I started surfing, I'm terrible. But that sort of gives me some good mental space, at least once or twice a week.
Nice.
And people ask me if I surf. I'm all, no, I'm just a man floating in the ocean. And sometimes I get a wave, and sometimes I'm in the wash cycle. So
yeah, that sounds like that would be me. I just saw this. I follow this family on Instagram called the Bucket List Family, I think. They've got like this 8-year-old that's like filming himself surfing waves with his like 12-year-old sister. And I'm like so jealous of that kind of life, because I can't even stand up on a paddleboard. I'd be in the wash cycle the whole time. I love that you've done some
handles, right? You can grab have you seen those ones where they got handles on the side?
No.
My neighbor has one. He brings his little girl in, just like, so she grabs on the handles and is able to stand up. But I think I do have some other advice that just like hit me. Like, I think it's really like, if you're going to be doing something like that could be fairly big. Like, I do think the support of a co-founder and going into that dynamic together like really helps ease that that burden that can be like, it's just better to share a burden with someone when you're like, you're in the trenches together. And then I think you can move and progress faster in that way. So, yeah.
Would you say that, and Brian is your co-founder, correct?
Yep.
Would you say that you each have certain strengths that complement each other?
Yes. Yeah. It's what's crazy is that we were friends for 12 years before, and we never even started thought or mentioned or discussed starting a business together. But we both knew each other's personalities really well. And, I call him Mind Palace just because whatever. I'm like, hey, dude, how's this work? He's just, have you seen Sherlock Holmes? He goes into Mind Palace and just.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's sort of a cool dynamic we have. Yeah, I mean, just he's our CTO, head of technology. So he just understands that side of the business. He's the technical co-founder.
Nice.
Whereas I'm handling more business negotiations and things of that nature. So
sounds like a great team. Great advice too, Matt. Thank you so much for carving a little bit of time out of your busy schedule. I know you have a lot going on. We truly appreciate it. And if you're listening and if you're interested in exploring Curri, visit sidehustlelounge.com/VIP room, and I'll have the links and stuff to Curri. Or of course, you can go to curri.com. That's CURRI.com. Matt, thank you so much.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.